Ever wondered which the best picks and counter picks for every champion were in Paladins? Well, today I'm going to take the first step in my new series, which is the Paladins Champion Pick Guide. And I'm also making a Google document that's open to comments, so if you want to put something on there, then you can always check that out. And if you don't want to watch the video, then I guess you can look at that beforehand and just skip all of my content. That link will be in the description below, and you can look at that whilst you're watching the video. You can even make some comments on it whilst it goes along. But I'm just going to go through the champions that's good against, a bit of both, who they're bad against, and then also look at the maps and see which maps are best and not best. And today, the first champion that we're going to do is Drogoz, and basically I'm going to try and do one champion every video because it'll probably take quite a while to go through the picks and counter picks of each champion basically, and I'll make a playlist of all these videos and try and do this quite regularly, maybe a few a week actually. So very briefly, Drogoz is the lizard that wished to be a dragon that has a jetpack. Drogoz is extremely strong with their ultimate and being able to kill somebody in one hit with their dragon punch, and does extreme damage with their fire spit left click combo, which explodes on the point and can reset it and basically spam that. So let's go over which champions they're good against first. So a lot of the tanks make it into this good list. So first off we have Ruckus. It's an immobile tank, they don't have much of an escape, they can just jump either side, and really they're just an easy target for damage. Barrack's quite the same, he's often on the point as a tank, and the fire spit AoE can damage the turrets in an area, and because Barrack uses his turrets to heal and to have sustain and to do extra damage, that really damages a Barrack. So next up is Grok, and basically they have a limited range on their main weapon, their right click's quite hard to aim at you, but the big one is the fact that the way he plays is that everybody will gather around to be healed by his totem in a small area, and your right click and your left click combo on your fire spit will be able to hit everybody whilst they're trying to heal. Also your fire spit can take out that totem, meaning that you can basically counter their healing even around corners or into a building. So generally Grok has a hard time dealing with Drogoz. He can escape with his invisibility and sort of dodge the projectiles and the fire spit, but that doesn't matter because you're going to be taking out their totem all the time. Ying also relies on being able to deploy her illusions, and because Drogoz can keep that damage over such a large area, he can pretty much take out those illusions all of the time, and especially if you're trying to heal somebody on the point, your illusions may as well not be there if the Drogoz is able to get their fire spits off. Also, Ying is relatively weak, and although their weapon can hit you, it does have a range drop-off. Onto the damage champions, Bomb King will find it hard to hit you with their sticky bombs, and their Grumpy Bomb will pretty much have no effect on you unless you're landing close to it, and also they're a big target and fairly immobile, so basically good for trying to hit with your rocket. So next up are champions that have some good elements and some bad elements, and I don't feel that I can say it's completely good or completely bad. So first off is the other two tankers, and Fernando is first up. So basically it's good as Drogoz to take down the shield of Fernando because you're able to put out so much damage with your projectiles, and that shield is an easy target for those projectiles to hit. Paired with Wrecker, you can basically keep it down all of the time. Their short-range weapon also can't really hit you. The only thing that they can hit you with is their Q, so the Fernando will have a hard time reacting to you. But the bad side is because Fernando's ultimate counters your ultimate Dragon Punch by making all allies and the Fernando itself invulnerable to Dragon Punch and damage. So it can save a point hold and waste your ultimate if you try to use it, and will mean that you'll probably be waiting for the Fernando to ultimate and in a bit of a stalemate as to who's going to ultimate first. Makoa is good to go against because your Dragon Punch, your ultimate, can neutralize them when they go into their ultimate. They get loads of extra health, and they have the anchor swing mode. Basically it means that you'll waste their ultimate and get a kill. It's also generally strong against champions on the point, and because he's a tank, he's going to be there often, so you're going to be able to put a lot of damage out onto that Makoa, and he's a big target and fairly slow moving. He's an easy target to hit, but the hooks can disable Drogoz and make him an easy kill for the enemy team. Maybe the Makoa won't take him out, but if another team member's watching, he'll be easy to pick off when hooked in. So that's why there's a good and a bad element, although I would say that Makoa is more on the good side because of being able to counter the ultimate. Moldamba is another weak healer. Basically your damage is going to be pretty extreme on a point, and if they're trying to heal somebody, your fire spits and an AoE are probably going to hit him as well if he's too close. But the thing that makes him harder to go against is because his stuns will also disable you, and if you are a little bit closer to the enemies and you get stunned, then that's pretty much you dead as well, because you just want to be keeping in the air, want to be keeping out of the fight, so getting stunned is a bad thing, and a good Maldamba with a good stun may be able to really disrupt you. Onto the flankers. So Skye will find it fairly hard to hit you whilst in the sky, as they have a Cone of Fire Bloom. It has been buffed, so she is slightly better, but they can't do exactly pinpoint damage at the moment. And whilst they are squishy, they have a really low health pool, and your Fire Spits can do a lot of damage to them, and your Rockets can do a lot of damage to them. It's hard for you to spot them because you need to be close up to illuminate them whilst they're invisible. So the only time you're going to be able to take them out is if they're illuminated by your allies, and then you might be able to do a lot of damage to them, but you're probably not going to have a lot of interaction with a Skye in a game, so it's not really good or bad. Buck is also good and bad. He's hard to hit, as leaping and jumping can often escape your damage, but also has a shotgun, and that has limited range and generally doesn't do a lot of damage to you whilst you're in the air and flying, although a good Buck will try and land and jump where you are landing after you've run out of jetpack. And will often jump up and try and hit you that way. So a good Buck can put out a lot of damage to you, but as the game progresses and you're probably going to buy Haven, it's going to get less and less. And the Buck is actually a rather big target to hit as well, and once they have used their leap, they are quite vulnerable to you. I don't think it's not a great thing to go against, but also it's not a bad thing to go against. Eevee has slow-moving projectiles like yourself, and will struggle to hit you whilst you're in the air, or generally if you're hovering a little bit, because characters that can jump and can hover are the hardest to hit. But basically, you too will also struggle to hit that Eevee as they're blinking around. It's hard to time your projectiles to hit where the Eevee's going to blink back, and also come out of the ice block, because it's got that travel time. But it's likely in games that you're not going to have much interaction with an Eevee, or perhaps only when you are landed, or if they're landed, you'll be able to get a few shots on each other. But I don't think it's a generally good or bad to go against an Eevee, as you're just going to struggle to interact with each other. So Cassie isn't hit scan and has a projectile based weapon, but it does have a fast travel time and can hit you in the sky, but also Cassie has low health, and a Fire Spit can be quite devastating or a hit on them. I think Cassie is one of the closer characters to being bad to go against, but at the same time is also fairly weak against you. Charlene has a projectile-based weapon as well, but also has a fast travel speed, and can snipe you out of the sky if you're not careful, and stun you if you're near a building or something like that. But with Planted, it's easy for rockets to hit them directly, and also their escape isn't too far, and they can often be hit by the Fire Spit and left click combo once they've already jumped. So I think that Charlene can be great against you if they're focusing you, but at the same time, if you'll be able to get your shots off at them, you can pretty much counter them too, especially if they're planted, because then your rockets will hit them and do a lot of damage, and they don't have much health. So I don't think it's necessarily good or bad. There's a bit of both to Charlene. Pip is a bit like Eevee. They'll find it hard to hit you and damage you with their projectiles that have a pretty high drop, and also they can't use their ultimate on you whilst you're in the air, so you'd actually have to be quite close to them to get affected by it. But Pip is also very mobile and hard to deal with for you, and will be flanking a lot, whereas you're probably just putting out the damage in the sky, and you probably won't have too much interaction in a game with a Pip. That's why it's slightly good and bad. Okay, so the champions that can counter you and you're not really great against. So first up is Androxus. Basically, Androxus can never step into the air, and it's very hard to hit them with rockets whilst champions in the air or hovering, as they're moving around in 3 axis rather than just 2. They can hit scan shoot you, which basically means that it's so much easier for them to hit you. Also, hovering whilst featherweights, even when they're not in the air, can make them harder to hit with splash damage, and also predict where you're going to shoot them on the ground. So Androxus is one of the worst things to go up against. Also, they can also fire your right-click, left-click combo with your spit, and throw it back at you with reversal, which can do a lot of damage. And I've seen some sniping in some of the ESL leagues that's pretty epic at taking out Drogoz in the air with reversal. So Victor and Tyra both have automatic weapons that can do lots of damage at range and sustain fire, and basically they're great at pinpoint and hit scan weapons that can deal a lot of damage to you. So it isn't great to go up against them, because if you're up in the air, it's very easy to be hit by them. Also, Kness is the same, another hit scan character. They can hit you and kill you whilst flying, and if you go up against a good Knessa, they'll be sniping you a lot. You're going to have some trouble with them. Grover isn't a great one to go against either because, first off, with their right click, they can stop you from escaping and using a jetpack with their cleave, which means that you're very vulnerable, and also they get bonus damage hitting you further away, and basically as you're in the air because you will be further away, and they'll be able to snipe you out of the air. Anyway, those are the champions that are good, bad, and a little bit of both currently affecting Drogoz. And now I thought it'd be interesting as well to look at the maps to basically indicate whether or not you should pick a champion as to which map you're playing as well, because you can see that before you start a game. So there isn't actually a completely bad map for Drogoz, I wouldn't say, at the moment. So let's go through the good maps first. So Jaguar Falls basically has a tight point. The capture point is very easy to fire spit with your right click left click combo, and you can ride the tops of buildings and hover to stay out of fire basically. This is actually probably one of the best maps for Drogoz, and you can put out so much sustained damage on that point, and in the buildings it's quite unreal. Frozen Guard also has a point building that is quite tight, closed off in a little building, and is perfect for the fire spit combo, and also you can ride the central buildings with your jetpack, and there's also several tight choke points in the map for the fire spit combo as well. Ice Mines does have a lot of choke points too, buildings to ride, and fire spit combo again is very strong, and it just goes without saying, if it's tight then you can basically get your fire spit in there. Serpent Beach actually has quite a few buildings that you can ride and that you can keep hidden behind, and then also quite a few choke points as well for that fire spit combo, although the main point is slightly more open, but still you'll be able to put out a lot of sustained damage on it, and also the buildings around the main point are the ones that you can ride. Next up, Fish Market. Basically you can ride the tops of buildings to hide, and there's lots of cover for you to keep riding the buildings or getting in and out of cover, and being able to put out your fire spits a lot. The main point is open and has cover as well with the little crates, so it's harder to get your fire spit and do sustained damage without them completely dispersing and dodging you. But also another positive of this map is that at some of the choke points in the corners, you can knock people off the edge with your fire spit and get basically a one-hit kill. So I think this nudges it into the good maps, but it was on the edge of being good / bad. So next up, the maps that have good points and bad points. So Timbermill is quite an open map, and there are lots of spots for snipers and hitscan characters to flank and basically be able to see you and take you out, and several areas of pressure and several areas that they can come from, and it's hard for a Drogoz to focus on all of these areas, and there isn't necessarily choke points that you can't get onto a building above and do damage on. Frog Isle is good because there's areas where you can knock enemies off the edge of the map with a fire spit and a few choke points on the map, but bad, the main siege point has cover to hide around from the fire spit blast around the edges, and there's very little vertical and high cover, and basically there are trees that you can sort of hide behind when you're using your jetpack, but can't really hide your whole body, and basically if somebody moves they can see behind that tree. So it's not the best map for Drogoz, I don't think. So this was the first of the pit guide. What does everyone think about this? Do you think that it's quite a good idea? Do you think that it's great to sort of add this to a Google document? If you have any comments, if you think that some of the things about Drogoz are wrong, you can always mention it in the comment section below, and I can always update and maybe change or consider changing the guide on Google Docs. And maybe that will be the immortal guide. Basically, because it's a Google Doc, it can change over time, and the meta in game does often change. So if the meta does change, I could probably put it in the comment section and say document has been changed on X date. Check it out for more details. But I don't think everything's going to change about Drogoz. So I think it's going to be quite similar. A lot of these picks and counter picks are going to carry through to season 1. Anyway, I hope to do a video on hi-rez later today. I know that they're going to do some more announcements about the new map, so it'll be fun to do a video about that. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, give it a dislike. Subscribe for more of my content, and I'll see you all next time. Joshino.